Welcome to 21 Chambers. This is an open conscious and reaction channel. It's where we focus on talking points on social awareness, breaking news, and the politics affecting our community. So let's lock and load and blast the information off. Today, we're talking about is DEI. Is it a distraction used as a smokescreen so we don't know the real cause of the helicopter plane crash last week? Are they using DEI to distract us from the Senate hearings to nominate white nationalists in the White House? And most important, is they using DEI to keep us unfocused on the tariff that is now on and cooking? But before we can get into all that, we must ask, what is DEI? So with that being said, check this out.
President Trump signed multiple executive orders revoking several DEI mandates, policies, and programs within the federal government this week. And he also put federal DEI workers on leave. Melissa Matani joins us now. She's the executive producer of our CBS News Confirmed team. So, Melissa, break down for us the history of DEI programs.
So DEI stands for Diversity, Equity,
All right,
Inclusion.
let's stop right there. Because this is one of the clearest explanations about DEI that I got. Moving on.
You sometimes hear this as DEIA. It stands for accessibility.
Oh, okay.
And, and a lot of people mistake DEI to stand for race, when actually it's much more than that. It's age, it's your gender, it's your physical ability, and your socioeconomic status. And basically what these programs do is they try to allow training opportunities, accessibility to get into that sort of executive workplace so that our workplaces start to look like the societies that we live in. And history-wise, DEI has been around since the 1960s, linked very much to the civil rights movement, but it was a 1964 Civil Rights Act that banned employment discrimination based on all of these topics that I just mentioned, like race, color, religion.
Because it's important to know that the DEI program is like a baby of affirmative action laws that was passed in the mid-60s. That's very important for everyone to know. And the civil rights movement, which was led by African Americans, black, melanated people, these were the ones that did the ground footwork and went through all the turmoil to get these programs started.
Sex. But really, Lindsay, even though it's been around since the 1960s, it was in 2020 when, in the wake of George Floyd's murder, you'll remember we had these big protests on the streets. And that's when companies rushed to get more diverse people into executive positions. And with this big push, we also saw a big backlash with political figures on the right.
I'm gonna pause right there. Because as you see, there's very few black folks amongst this crowd. Because this is considered a melanated of people. Many people, you got the LGBTQ community, you got, Asians, you got all kinds of people in there. You got Chinese, you got Arabs, you got all kinds of people involved in this, and then you got the black folks that was involved as well in major cities. But, I just wanted to put
Musk really pushing back and saying that DEI equated to racism against white people and specifically white men. Really interesting, a Pew Research study from November last year showed that 47% of white people, that's almost half, think that DEI initiatives are harmful specifically to white men, as we're trying to get more women into the workplace.
What does the data show us?
So this is really interesting. So when you look at the data, especially in terms of like how things change. So in 2020, when there was that big push, according to research by the University of North Carolina and Texas A&M, there were 253 black executives in 2020 in S&P 500 companies. By 2023, there were 417. So that's a big jump, but still that's under 500 people. Now compare that to white executives. Those numbers didn't shrink. It's not like they went down. They still went up. In 2020, there was 6,000.
Stop right here. Because you got to see those numbers. Look at that. Black executives, it's only 253 people out of 6,286 white executives. That is crazy. Okay? That's we so far behind, man. With those kind of odds, how can you catch up? How can you catch up? You can't catch up. Look at that number.
1,286. In 2023, 6,469. So just take a look, Lindsay, when we're talking about 417 compared to 6,469 white people, here you can see this huge disparity, and this is exactly why we need this program.
Because this is about the plane crash and how they using DEI. You know what I'm saying? They're using DEI as a big smokescreen. This is the deal, because they don't want to let you know that, you know, when Trump passed those executive orders and they started getting rid of aviation people and start getting rid of all kinds of people inside the government, which they said they was going to do with the 2025 project. That's what they said they were going to do. And he's doing everything he said he was going to do. Okay, so you know, it's crazy, but moving on.
Did have sight of an aircraft. Is it possible that it had the wrong aircraft in sight? Do you have any sense of what went wrong in those final moments?
I know that the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation will be able to search on all of those questions. We wouldn't be able to talk.
That's the mayor of D.C. She ain't even want to get involved with none of that smoke. She's like, let them do their investigation and then we can ask the questions. But then you got this guy right here, this guy, listen to him.
This was a dark and excruciating night in our nation's capital and in our nation's history.
But today, President Trump was only too willing to speculate on the cause of the deadly accident.
I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing.
I just watched President Trump's news conference. Listen, it's one thing for internet pundits to spew off conspiracy theories. It's another for the President of the United States to throw out idle speculation as bodies are still being recovered and families still being notified.
Let me stop right there. That's crazy. Okay, and that's the Senate leader, okay, Chuck Schumer of the Democrats. Now he's saying this. Now you got to ask yourself, him bringing DEI up in the helicopter crash makes no sense to me, but he did it. This is what he do. Moving on.
It just turns your stomach.
Are you going to find some of those diversity hire in the federal government? What's plan do you have?
I would say the answer is yes. If we find that people aren't mentally competent, you see the language. The language is put out by them. And if you see that, I'm not going to bore you by reading it again, but these are not people that should be doing this particular job. They'd be very good for certain jobs, but not people that should be.
Stop before I ask the other question. He don't even know if somebody like that was even doing that job. For him to bring that on, it's not people to be doing the job. This guy's, man, he's a piece of work.
Doing this particular job.
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game.
Did you hear that? They should have common sense. Wow. That's crazy. Major chess game. They're definitely winning on the chessboard. I mean, it's still enough room to play, and we can cause a stalemate, but we got to vote for different people in the Senate. We got to vote for different people in the Congress, and we all got to get on one team and do that. But that's a whole nother story. But, he's not talking about the economy. He's not talking about the gas. He's not talking, man, listen, the eggs. I remember eggs used to be $1 a dozen. That was just a few years back. Now we get to the Senate hearings. Okay, this is another smokescreen that they're using DEI to stop.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Kennedy, I was struck by your comments during our meeting last week.
What?
I was struck by your comments in our meeting last week, where you made it abundantly clear to me that you intended to clean house of the professional scientist at the National Institutes of Health, which you know is headquartered in the state of Maryland and employs thousands of hardworking Marylanders. I, for the record, believe in scientists and I believe in doctors, and I trust them over politicians without medical degrees. You talked about bad science and bad scientists, and in fact, you specifically said to me in response to my question that you intend to replace the bad scientists with the good scientists.
And are you suggesting that some of them should not be held responsible for that decline? They were in charge of protecting our health.
Let me just insert here.
Let me just finish.
But let me just say this, because I only have 3 minutes left. I don't set the rules here, but I ask the questions. And finally, I want to ask you, I have you said you were on a show on February 26, 2021, an interview with Dr. Judy Mikovits, where you said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours."
Did you hear that question? So, I mean, what they supposed to be giving us? What's another Tuskegee institution type deal where you know they just gonna just throw science on us and don't even do anything? That's what these guys are trying to do. They're either trying to not give us the medication that we need or give us some phony medication and watch the results. Crazy. Moving on.
Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that
how many black people have been
to particular antigens that blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received?
She cooked it.
What different vaccine schedule should I have received?
I mean, the Poland article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than
this is so dangerous.
You get the same measles vaccine.
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be voting against your nomination because your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
I mean, do you think science is dangerous, Senator? This is published, peer-reviewed studies.
I yield.
Now, let me stop right here before we move on, because this is the most important thing that's happening right now as we speak. These tariffs, okay? These tariffs, you know, as the minister from Canada about to talk about, it's crazy, okay? Everything's going to change. He got them on China, 10%. How you going to do the countries that's closest to us, 25%? China should be 25%. But see, he already know the heat that we'll get if he put 25% on China. That's why they only put a little bit on China. Plus, he got all kinds of products over there. People buying their tennis shoes and wallets and Bibles. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, man, you know, I mean, where does it stop?
News out of the White House, where U.S. President Donald Trump has signed tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico and China, America's top trading partners. Now, a 25% tariff is imposed on Canadian goods, with a 10% levy placed on Canadian oil exports. Mexico has been slapped with a similar 25% tax. President Trump has also placed a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods coming into the United States.
Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives. Our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothing, and shoes. It'll include major consumer products like household appliances, furniture, and sports equipment, and materials like lumber and plastics, along with much more. And as part of our response, we are considering, with the provinces and territories, several non-tariff measures, including some relating to critical minerals, energy, procurement, and other partnerships. We will stand strong for Canada. We will stand strong to ensure our countries
I don't know how they're going to want to be neighbors with that.
the
With
best
the prices
neighbors.
going up like that. You dig? This is crazy. Hey, but listen. This is 21 Chambers. My name is Dwayne Anthony. And this is what I need you to do. I definitely need you to subscribe. You know, hit the like button. It's free. It's free. Just subscribe. You know what I mean? This is 21 Chambers. My name is Dwayne Anthony. Peace, love, and happiness.